Welcome to another great show, the 24 Hour Boss Podcast. And today we have a new segment of our podcast called Let's Talk Business, in which we highlight and talk with small business owners and entrepreneurs about their businesses. And today my guest was Brandon Emmitt. He is the chef and founder of Emmitt's Catering, where everything is made with love. And Emmitt's Catering specializes in creating custom menu based on the needs of his client. And so I brought him on for a conversation to talk with him about his business and just how things are going. And we had a great conversation. He shared how he got started, some of his successes, and we even talked about some of his failures. And if you're someone who is looking to become a chef or start a catering business, this conversation is definitely for you. I would also say that this conversation is for anyone that is in business because it was very encouraging and inspiring. At the end of this episode, I'm going to come back and give some tips and some takeaways of today's episode. So let's go ahead and get into today's show. I'm Brandon Emmitt. Welcome to the 24 Hour Boss Podcast.
Oh man, thank you for the opportunity. I want to give God I want to say thank you to God for the opportunity. I also want to thank you also for allowing me to be on your show today.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Yes, sir. Excited to have you. Excited to just hear more about your business because I see a lot of the posts you're doing. I'm seeing a lot of food pictures that's looking great. I'm seeing prime rib, shrimp Alfredo, lobster mac and cheese, lemon, caper chicken. I'm hoping I'm saying that's right. But anyway,
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
seeing the post. And it's like, wow, this brother is doing some good things. I mean, you're making some amazing looking dishes. They look good. And basically, you messing up a whole lot of people's timelines with all of this great looking food you got.
Yeah. Um, Cooking from the heart, man. Cooking from the heart. That's all. You know,
Yes,
I
sir.
I just love doing what I do.
Right. And so primarily, I guess one of the first questions I got first. So primarily right now, you doing like you doing a lot of catering events, or what are you like primarily doing right now?
Um, Due to COVID, the main service I'm doing is food prep and private chef. You know, because uh, 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 due to COVID, due to the shutdown, the
Hmm.
food business, because of CDC regulations, we are not really allowed to have the big gathering crowds back then.
Oh, right, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a lot of families calling me to come to their home to cook for them personally and do meal
Okay.
prep. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And it seems I guess you it seems even with that you're pretty busy, I guess.
Yeah. It just all the glory goes to God. For God everything I do, God just bless my hands. So I don't
Yes.
take full credit for any of that.
Right. Oh, yes, sir. I understand. Yes, definitely. We give God all the credit. So, although right now, things seem to be taking off for you today. Things I know it didn't start out that way. I was reading one of the articles that was written about you in southlakestyle.com where they wrote and it stated that you started out as a dishwasher. So, what was that like back in those days, just being, the dishwasher?
Got into cooking, just not really knowing in life what direction I really want to go in. And so my dad was the main cook of the family. And so like it was something that was in me which I didn't know that I had within me. And it just kind of, went, you know, in that direction. And I started cooking and I really didn't have a passion for it yet. More just did so I get my feet wet. I also needed to check also. And once I got into it, I mean, one thing just led to the next. It just led to the next, and just bam, here I am today.
Wow. Okay. So, and let me ask you, where did you grow up? Like, what part of town did you grow up in?
Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff.
Dallas, Texas. Hey, Oak Cliff. Yes, I grew
Oh
up in
yeah,
Oak Cliff myself. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Great part of
yeah.
town. Love it. Okay, so let me ask you this: do you think that someone could become a overnight success as a chef? And I'm asking that because um, I'm. I think there may be some. I know there's some people that they may want to do the same things like what you're doing, but I know just me knowing me, and I'm kind of old school, I guess you could say, even though I'm not very old, I'm old school, but I know that a lot of these things take hard work. So if somebody were to approach you and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to be just like you, Brandon Emmitt. Will I become a success overnight or maybe in a few weeks?" What would you say to that?
Um, I was raised in church all my life, and I was started off by saying, just pray about it and let God guide you with every step. And I live by scripture, all things are possible to those that believe.
Mm-hmm.
This is not my doing. I'm here because God, God's blessing and God just showing me the way. And I'll give them my same story for as is what worked for me. Anything is possible when you set your mind to it,
Right.
but it's a major difference when you give it to God and you allow God to show you what He
Mm-hmm.
wants for your life. The sky's the limit when it comes to God. It's like no limit to God, and it's like no failure when it comes to God. We fail, God can't fail.
That's true. I agree with that.
That's my advice.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That's what I
But
live by. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. And I would also imagine too, though, of course, I know we pray, yes, we need God's direction, but even with that, would you agree that it took you some hard work to get where you're at, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, a whole lot of setbacks. Oh man, went through a divorce. Was almost homeless. You see me today, but there is like a bigger story behind the scenes. You know, it was rough. But I always kept my faith and just always had a vision for us what I wanted to do. And you know, uh, it was a whole lot of speed bumps along the way, but I never gave up. And with that kind of mentality, you can't lose.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Never giving up. And I think, that's one of the reasons I like to talk to people. Just like you said, I know there are some points where people fail. And I think people really got to understand that there's some moments
Yeah.
where it gets really hard and it's like you don't know what to do. And so, but that's all a part of the process. And I think
Hmm.
failure can definitely help us because we can learn from it. And so,
Absolutely.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
good point that you bring that up. That you had some growing pains. Actually, that's one of the questions that I had on here for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the growing pain. What growing pains and challenges you faced. Even with fear. I'm pretty sure. And I'll just ask because it's a question too.
Sure.
What type of fear did you face?
That's a normal reaction to, like my fear was failure. And, for me personally, uh, I don't like to lose. Not as competition losing, losing for its embarrassment. And like that was my biggest fear. What if I do all of this, invest all this money, time, energy, tears, sweat, and just everything just collapse on me? Then what? And I kept hearing this voice in my ear as for a step out on faith. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But and another thing I want to add to that too is I refuse to live my life. Would have, should have, could have.
Yeah.
You can't get time back. So yes, I want to do this, but what if I don't do it? And then like 5, 10 years later down the road, oh man, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
You have opportunity that comes up in life that you don't have time to redo that again. Certain doors can't be reopened. And while you have the opportunity to make this happen, like do it. If it doesn't work out, try something else. You know what I'm saying? But keep going at it. You're gonna find the answer sooner or later if you keep on going.
I
And
love that.
also too, part of being successful, you have to fail first. That's part of it. So you can't be afraid to fail. 'Cause everything you try not gonna work, but you keep on going at it, trying it, and you're gonna find something that's gonna work sooner or later.
Wow, I love that. Those are some great points you make, and I know for some of our listeners And whoever takes a listen to this podcast, maybe there'll be some other chefs out there that, are trying to figure out,
Absolutely.
hey, what's the next step to make. Those are some great points, great advice. And like I said, and that's the reason why I like to bring people on to talk to them, to see different things they face, because I mean, I think it's just a part of life that we're going to face failures. We're going to face these things. But like you said, the main thing is,
Absolutely.
is don't give up. Don't stop. Try something
Exactly.
else, or just go back to the drawing board and say, hey, look at where I failed. I think it's, I've said this several times with different people on this podcast. I think it's Mandela that said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So it's like you learn from
Absolutely.
those failures. So great points, Mr. Emmett. I love that. Love that.
If I
So yeah, go ahead.
if
Go
I
ahead.
if I may, let me add something else to that, by the way, too.
Sure.
When I was in school, uh, I had I had my teachers, and these are people that were supposed to, help shape and to mold me. And I had these examples for teachers in my life telling me personally, like, you're not gonna be anything.
Mm.
And so I had people telling me these things growing up as a kid. I also had people in my family tell me the same thing. So I had this big old hurdle on my back as well.
Mm.
It was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that is something that it's one of the negatives, I think, that can hinder people. Sometimes you gotta
absolutely.
get away from those negative vibes, negative people, pull away from those and get around people that you know that are like minded like you, or support your ideas. So yeah, that's a great point. When was it that you knew, what, I got something pretty good here? I could probably start my own catering business. When was that where you just felt like, hey, you know what, I got something going here?
This was back in 2013, actually. You know, I got tired of, working for other chefs, and I felt that, like, I didn't fully feel the appreciation, feel the respect. And one of my articles in the magazine, which I also stated too, that I felt, I was doing like most of the work, and with low pay. And a lot of these chefs and like most of these restaurants, hotels, whatever, like, they don't have a lot of experience. And you sometimes have cooks with more experience. And I've been in the game for a long time, and I just got tired of being the bottom pole, and I wanted to challenge myself. So going in 2014, my son was born, and now I'm looking at life from a different perspective, because now I have a wife and have a baby now, and um, I wanted to really test myself. I knew I had what it took, and I felt that that was the right time for me to really just jump. Now, far as the results, I don't know. Somebody took a chance. If you don't jump, like, you'll never will know. And my son was a major factor to me jumping. Because working in the cooking industry, you try to be a family man, but you working crazy hours.
Mm.
And I never wanted that, because I wanted to be at home with my family. And so I had a problem with authority too, for as uh I want to set my own schedule. I don't want you to give me a schedule. I have vacation time, but I gotta ask for permission to take off. So I got a problem with stuff. So I want to create my own stuff, so I can set my own schedule to take off when I want to. So
Hmm.
anyway, 2014 was that kind of year. My son was born. Everything just kind of shifted, and everything was lining up, like, looking like that's the direction everything was going in, for me to really take that jump with my business, and I did, and it paid off.
Mm. Okay, so did you like you just started out on your own, or were you just kind of do it on the side, or how did you make that switch or that
What
transition?
what happened was I was working for this corporation, actually, and we was bought out, and which I didn't like, the transition anyway, and it was kind of funny, because I didn't like, the new people that I was working with for his management.
Hmm.
And uh, I think I worked with these new guys maybe for about like 2 months. and I couldn't take it no more, so I just up and quit. And which I didn't have no second, no fall back job or anything, just quit. And I started working for a temp company. And I told myself, like right then and there, okay, what's my game plan? And I remember praying about it. God gave me, certain instructions for us work for a temp company and where you can set your own schedule. Reason being because the main thing was for us transfer the business, you need certain permits.
Mm-hmm.
And and these places are open only, maybe from like 6 to 3, Monday through Friday. So you try to work a job those hours, by the time you get off, they close already. So there was a benefit for me working with a temp company because I was able to set my own, on schedule, and also had time to go down to the corporate places to get my permits and everything. So it worked out.
Oh, okay. So that was like it seemed like a door shutting, but you actually that was just an
Exactly.
open a way just for you to just step right into this because that
Exactly.
seems like I guess the timing of that worked out great where you said the business was bought out and so that helped you to find other
Exactly.
avenues. So man, that's
Exactly.
great.
Oh
It
yeah.
works out for you. Cool. All right. So what is like one of your favorite dishes to make? I know you make a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it something maybe you can narrow it down to one or two? Maybe what's like one of the ones like you just man, I love making this dish right here.
As I tell like many of my clients, because many of my clients ask me the same question,
Mm-hmm.
in which I tell them like I don't have a favorite dish. Like cooking by itself, like that's a passion. It's all alone. And
Yeah,
cooking, the cooking itself is a passion. So everything I make is from, everything I make is from the heart, made with love. Like that's the answer to it. Everything that I make, like that's why I enjoy making because I make it from my heart.
yeah, and that's why you say made from the heart because this is I mean this is pretty much your passion, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you
yeah, cooking, man. Like I just love cooking. Just any kind of cooking. Cooking relaxes me, believe it or not. Uh, and that's kind of weird to say.
no,
Like
that's
it's so, yeah, it just settles my nerves.
yeah. I I mean, hey, everybody is different. I mean, I've talked to, certain drivers that drive, they drive, this is their job. They love it because they say, "Hey, you know what? It's so relaxing when I get on the road."
Peaceful,
So,
absolutely.
that's what they do. But for
Yep,
you, which is great because people love, I mean, who wouldn't like good food? I mean, when I sit down to go somewhere to eat, I want the food to be good. So, you got somebody like yourself that's cooking from the heart. This is his passion. I mean, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Let me ask you this: like at family reunions or different things for your family, do they expect you to cook or how does that work
absolutely.
out?
I'm hands down.
Do they
Yes,
just sit back and say, "Well, Brandon's got this taken care of. We ain't got to worry about food. He's got it taken care
always,
of."
always. I don't have a vote or anything. Brandon gonna do all the cooking, and and which I think that's an honor to be honest. Which I like that.
Yeah,
Like it shows me that they really, the confidence in my cooking that they, yeah. So I love that actually. I like
that's
that. I
good.
find it's an honor. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I think so. You cook desserts too, right? You don't just cook. I mean, like main courses and entree. You cook desserts too, right?
I do everything.
You do it. Oh wow, he does it all, y'all. I hope y'all listen to this
I do
and just
everything.
I hope your appetites and your taste buds is just buzzing right now because this brother cooks it all.
Yeah,
All right, so
when clients call, that's what I tell them actually. For as like there isn't, I mean, MS Cater don't have a set menu.
okay,
Yeah, it's custom built. Whatever you want, we'll make it.
whatever you want. So they just call you up and they say, "Hey, I'm having this function and can you help us out?" Or like how long does it take for you to I guess somebody calls you and I mean, do they have to give you enough time? I would think, you need what type of window do you need when somebody calls you up to say, "Hey, you know what? We got this event. Can you help us out?" What type of time frame do you need?
For small gatherings, at least a week notice. like
Hmm.
weddings and stuff like that, at least like a month out.
Okay. Okay. Do they purchase the food or do you purchase the food? How does that work? I'm just asking.
No, you fine. uh, when the when the client calls, we go over all the basic information for his food allergies, the date of the event,
Hmm.
the location, how many people. Once I get all of that, then we go over the menu, which is custom created. And once the menu has been created, then I'll be able to provide in the total quote.
I got you. Okay.
And when the quote, once it's given out to the client, and if they agree to pay the quote, then I take the quote, then I take the money, then buy the food, everything.
Got
I
you.
do
Okay.
everything.
Okay. And like I said, I'm just asking because I don't know the process. So
No,
I'm
you
sure
fine.
somebody listening to this, they may be curious. Well, how does it work? What do you have to do? So
Yeah,
I'm just asking
yeah,
these questions because I'm
oh
curious
yeah,
myself, but at the same time, I think this is good information for people to know. Uh, at the same
absolutely.
time, it's a great thing. So I want to ask you about marketing because like I said, I've seen your posts and I'm seeing a lot of posts that man, the food looks great, amazing. I'm seeing different people where you're taking pictures with some of your clients, all of that great stuff. So what marketing strategies are you using right now to market your business?
Oh man, for the people that's listening, the marketing, that is the biggest, like that is the most time consuming part, because you can be good at what you do for your craft, but if nobody is seeing your work, and it's pretty much dead work actually. So as of right now, what I'm working on is a few things actually. I have a few ads run on Facebook and Instagram. Um, I just signed a 1 year contract with this golf course country club.
Okay.
Uh, um, doing your show right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Uh, did 2 magazines.
Yeah.
Looking at three possibly. Um, just any kind of platform that's presented to me. For
Okay.
business cards. Just whatever. Word of mouth.
Hmm.
You know. Also, any kind of event that I do, I post it on Facebook. Just whatever. I mean,
Right.
go ahead.
I was going to ask in regard to the magazines and the marketing. So yeah, I've read some of those articles that were written about you, but um and maybe you can help like I said our listeners and even me for myself. I'm listening. So I would assume that these those that got you on the magazine. Now I don't know, did they approach you or did you approach them or did they
They
hear about Emmitt's Catering and they was like, "Hey,
they
let's
both
reach out."
told me, yeah, they both told me that they saw me on Facebook actually. Because on Facebook, which I'm in about at least 100 different groups,
Mhm.
and they found me in one of these groups each.
Are these catering groups?
No, well, they're not catering group. They just like just other groups.
Just other groups you're a part of. But they
Yeah.
saw you on Facebook, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
And
Yes.
see that I guess that's my point because just like you just said, if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's gonna really find you. So
Exactly.
just by you putting yourself on Facebook,
Hmm.
you just never know what they can do. And I think that's like you said, I think that this is one of the easiest times to help your business because Facebook is free. Instagram is
Exactly.
free. So
Absolutely. Yep.
for our listeners, I'm trying to help them as well. It's like, you got to put and even for myself, it's like you said, it is time consuming. So it's like you got to make the time for it too. So even myself, I'm learning. So and that's a good thing of us having these conversations because I get to learn from other people because I don't know it all, and I love to learn from other people. So hey, but that was my point for asking that. But you putting that yourself on
Yeah.
Facebook, you had these magazine people reaching out to you, and it sounds like it's
Yeah.
still going or growing from there.
Absolutely. Like they found me, and like the work that I was putting out. And these groups I'm in, by the way, like it's really not just a food group. Like it's just a group. Just for you to advertise whatever you want.
Right.
And they found me, like my work. reached out to me. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
is awesome. I mean, to have
yeah.
somebody write a magazine article about you, that's a great thing. And hey,
And let me say this
kudos
too
to
about
you. Go ahead, go
appreciate
ahead.
one last thing. Whatever you do, it may seem as I mean nobody really watching or paying attention, or it's like it's not a big deal because at one point, I didn't have a catering event for about like 3 to 4 months, and I almost gave up. And I kept praying about it. God spoke to me and told me keep on going. What if I would have gave up?
That's a good
It was
point.
like no phone calls. I mean nothing. Like you have to be like very patient, not really realizing that a lot of people was watching me. They didn't reach out, and look where it got me.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good point. Because I think now, I don't know the exact number, but you can tell us. But I know you didn't start out with over 3,000 followers on Facebook, so you're growing.
yeah. Which I started my Facebook page back in March of 2020, and I remember praying about my business. Like it was just a shutdown, just started. Um, and I prayed about that. God spoke to me and told me, "You post your food, and I will send you the crowd to your page."
Hmm.
Less than 1 year, I had over like 5,000 likes
Wow.
during the pandemic, and in 2 magazines within 1 year.
Yeah,
So it's possible when you, I mean, anything is possible. You set your mind to it.
I agree
A
with
lot
that.
of hard
Oh,
work. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I love that you said you didn't give up because when the phone's not ringing, it's like, whoa, what do you do? And
yeah,
and I think that kind of goes back to what we said earlier in regards to not quitting when you face failure, and that can
absolutely.
seem daunting, not getting calls, because it's like this is what you go to business for. And Lord knows when the pandemic started, I'm sure a lot of people in business were just shaking in the boots because it's like, what do we do? And I know some restaurants that's right here by my house. I hate the fact that they closed. I mean, they had great food, but they're closed
Yeah,
up. And so
yeah.
it's like, man, I sure hate that because it's like, it's a hard thing. But even through the pandemic, you didn't give up, you didn't quit, and you're still going, and man, you're still growing. That's wonderful.
Let me say this one quick add on. During the pandemic, for me personally, was a blessing. And which I'm not saying that, as an insult for the other people that really was affected by it. But during the pandemic, for me, was a major boost for my business. And which I give God like all the credit for that. So I mean, it just really based on how you look at it. But when I went into this from day one, like I was very determined to go to the top. I have the same vision today, the same determination. I would not fail. That's not an option for me. I will be
Hmm.
successful.
I like that. I mean, you got to stay positive, you got to stay focused, regardless of what comes on go. You don't go into business to quit. You shouldn't. So you just got to keep going. I love that. So in regard to, I love that. You talking in regards to God and in regards to your faith. So I read an article or reading the article on Who Am I magazine, which stated you decided not to play football. I know you said you played football earlier in your life because it didn't align with your spiritual values because they play on Sundays, of course. But so in regards to God, in regards to your faith, how does your faith play a role in what you do as a business owner today?
A lot of praying. You know, as a business owner, like you don't know like what tomorrow is going to bring. I mean, what kind of like disaster for us, like another pandemic, like earthquake, whatever. Like you blindfolded, just as the days go. And me trusting in God and following God, God shows me what to do. You know, God can see tomorrow, next year. We only see right now. And my benefit for us, like serving God, is when I pray to God, like that's a communication system. And God is able to inform me for us, like what to do for my next move. And which I love that. So that's how that helps me for us, my business.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, using God as your lead, how do you go wrong, right?
Amen to that.
Can't go wrong when you let Him lead. So awesome, good stuff. In
Amen.
regards to influences, like what name some people that have maybe been the most influential to you and like your growth today.
Like the first person I see my dad, which is
Hmm.
Harry Emmett. Because he was the main cook of the family. I mean, that's where the seed first was planted within me. And um, the second person um, is Robert Bufoco. Uh, he was my culinary teacher instructor. I started going to college and I almost dropped out. And he was the one that kind of set me. I put out the God used him to put me right back on track towards my path.
Hmm.
I almost quit. So these two guys really just gave me what I needed for as the cooking industry.
All right, that's good. That's good. I think everybody should have somebody that they can, look back to or look back on to say, man, you know what? If I hadn't had this person in my life, I don't know where I would be today. And I think everybody individually, as we try to climb these ladders of success, there's that one person or even more people that helps us because we all need somebody, to help us to get to the next step. I heard you say I almost quit. So, these people that come in our
Plural.
lives, I think through prayer, of course, because God will lead you the right ways to go. Um, and just doing the right things too. God puts certain people in our lives to help us get to the next step. So everything what you're saying is great. Never giving up, never quitting. All of that is good. And we need these type of things, and that's the point of having this conversation. I'm hoping somebody's listening to this and maybe they thought about giving up on their catering business or even as a chef, and they're hearing your story of how, hey, you know what, this guy, he had some setbacks, he had some failures, but look at what he's doing, look at where he's at now. So that's the whole point of this, just trying to be influential and help others. So that I love that information that you're giving out.
Thank you.
So I got some surprise questions here. These are very easy for you to answer. You don't know what they are. That's why they're surprise questions, but they're
All
very
right.
easy. You should be able to answer these. All right. So, which do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay. Like chocolate over vanilla. All right. Can't complain with that. Okay. Which makes better pets, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. Okay. All right. If
I,
you go ahead about the dogs.
I love Yorkies, by the way. Go ahead.
You love Yorkies. Okay. Hey, we got some Yorkie fans. Hopefully they listening. Yorkie fans.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could write a book, what would the title of that book be?
Uh, um,
I know that may be a little tough one. You may got to think about that one, and maybe we can find
no,
out
no,
later.
no.
But
No,
oh,
the roads that broke through concrete.
oh, oh, I like that. The roads that broke through concrete. That's real good. All right, so we're gonna be maybe down the road. We'll be looking for Emmett's book down the road. Mr. Emmett's book.
Yeah.
That's a great title, though. By the way, great title.
Yeah.
All right,
Actually, the
last
book.
surprise. Go ahead.
Actually, the book is big. I mean, the book is kind of like in the works, by the way. Just a heads
Okay,
up.
that's good. That's good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna be looking forward. All right. Last surprise question: Team Apple or Team Android?
Apple out the way. I
Oh,
have the
really?
Apple Watch. I mean, the tablet, desktop, and Apple phone.
Okay.
Apple all the way.
Okay. Apple all the way. Man, all right. So I've the last three guests that I've asked them that same. I didn't ask them those same questions, but I do that one is definitely one that I'll keep on repeat. Team Apple, Team Android. So far, it looks like it's tied so far in regards to
Okay.
Team Apple, Team Android. So we'll leave it at that. Brandon Emmitt votes Team Apple for all you Apple heads out there that are listening.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that's the end of the surprise question. So next, we almost about done here. Next question. Advice for a chef what would you suggest to maybe somebody that's trying to, maybe they are just starting out, or even, I don't know, maybe they're struggling as a chef. What advice could you give someone out there to just, help them out?
Keep God first. Everything you do for decision making. Uh, Number two, have a game plan for us. What direction that you want your business to go in, and just be very dedicated to your craft. Always like never be fully satisfied. Always try to. I mean, grow.
Hmm.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Keep God first. Have a vision and put like nothing but love into your business.
Hmm. I should say, you said stay dedicated to your craft. Do you suggest, or would you suggest too, for some, like maybe going to school to
No,
maybe perfect their craft? You don't suggest that?
that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked me that. Now, I went to school.
Hmm.
Going to school for me personally hasn't helped me at all, and I have a
Okay.
degree in culinary.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but I have a degree in culinary. That hasn't helped me at all. It looked
Okay.
good on paper,
Yeah.
but your true skills is what you learn in the kitchen.
Okay.
They don't want to see, it doesn't help.
I see.
If I hire a chef, I want to know what he can do.
Hmm.
I care about his school where he went to.
I see. So the experience, it sounds like the experience that a chef
It's
gets
everything.
under their belt means more than the
Time.
school that they go to.
Absolutely.
So how, or let me ask you this: what would you suggest to somebody to how, where could they go to perfect their crafts to get that experience to become a better chef? What would you suggest on that?
What I did was fresh out of college, when I graduated, I packed up my stuff and I moved out of state. And I just started traveling because I wanted to work with different chefs from different states and other countries. That's what I did.
Okay, that's what you did. So you worked in some different areas in some different kitchens. That's what it sounds like.
Yes. Like, that's how you really learn is, Texas is known for Cajun, barbecue, like
Mm-hmm.
Mexican, you know, and I wanted to I wanted to bring something different to the table. And like if you were to travel, like you'll learn so many different cuisine cultures from other countries and states.
That's true.
Yeah. That's how
Okay.
you
Yeah.
really, really learn, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds well. I read that too, where it's like, yeah, you did some traveling, so you got a lot of different cultures under your belt as far as cuisines and cooking and all of that. So,
Yeah, the
but the
whole South.
experience,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, from Puerto Rico to Dominican Republic, California, New York, the whole South. Like I really got out.
hmm, right. But
Florida.
the main thing, what I'm hearing, and that's good. If somebody, I think if somebody gets that opportunity, and I guess it just depends on what they want to do. But the main thing, what I'm hearing from you is for these chefs is you got to you got to get some time in that kitchen to get some experience and build it up.
Absolutely. Just make it just one thing and good enough. Like you have to really just like master your craft. Because Emmitt's
Yeah.
Catering, we make homemade sauces. Like we don't buy this pre-bought stuff. Like we make
Mm,
everything from scratch.
mm,
Like we are a real kitchen.
yeah.
That's why we say uh it's made from scratch. Okay, we then can say made with love. Not bought with love. It was made with love. Made with
I
love.
like that. I
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Wow. Shutting them
Yeah, we
down.
the
All right.
we the real deal.
Yeah,
We the real
you are.
deal.
That's the real
Yeah.
deal right there. Man.
All right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. You doing it. I love it. All
Thank
right.
you.
Where can we'll get ready to wrap this. Where can our listeners how can our listeners connect with you online?
You can find me. on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have the official website uh, at emmittscatering.com. So if you're on Facebook, go to Emmitt's Catering and we'll pop up.
All right. I hope y'all are listening to that. We're going to also put all of that information in our show notes when we post this episode. And I'll also do like a blog post, and I'll have those same links as well for all of those listening. So you'll be able to connect with him from, of course, my site, but you can definitely go to his site and those different social media platforms that he's put out there. So that's always good. And I just like to, share that with our listeners because, it's good to just share that information so that they can connect with you. Who knows, maybe this episode will lead some more people your way, Mr. Emmitt.
Sounds good.
All right. Last question is, in your own words, what does it mean being a boss?
I love the flexibility. I love the. I love. I love having the opportunity with the freedom that I have to give back to my community. Um, I love the opportunity for us. I can put things in place for us helping the homeless. And by the way, which I have like a GoFundMe page, by the way, too, which is called War Against Hunger, which
Yes,
I
actually,
started last
I
year.
was gonna. Yes, I mean, you just said that. I was gonna bring that up, so I'm glad you said that.
I mean, just giving back. I mean, everything from being just like like a good role model. I, I, I mean, just trying to be this guy that's trying to make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
it.
like that. I like that. Well said. Well said, Mr. Emmitt. I appreciate that information. And I want to say again, I appreciate you, sir, taking the time to come on my podcast to talk with me, and not only me, but to share your information with our listeners. I know all of this information that we talked about today is going to help somebody. And that's what this is all about, just having a conversation, talking to some great business owners about what they do, their craft and their business, and, sharing it with the world. Just like you just said, to make the world a better place. And that's kind of what I do too. That's why I want to have these conversations to help somebody out. So I want to say I appreciate your time today, sir. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity too. Thank you so much.
All right. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap. Wow. What a great show and a great episode. Great conversation. And I want to just thank Mr. Brandon Emmitt for his time and sharing his insight. Definitely enjoyed our conversation, and so I just wanted to come back and give some show takeaways or some tips from this episode. And of course, one of the things that Brandon talked about, or was his biggest fear, was his fear of failure. He stated that what if everything collapses, after investing all of this time and money. And I think for all of us, we all face fears in business or some type of thought that we just don't know what can happen, and those are things that we just have to cope with. It's a part of life that we're going to have fears, we're going to have struggles. And so I like his response to it, that he also stated that he refused to live off of coulda, shoulda, woulda, which basically does nothing. So it's like you can't just sit and get wrapped up in fear. So you just gotta be able to let those things go, cast them aside and just forget about them. He also stated that, you have to keep going. You can't be afraid to fail. I like that. We can't be afraid to fail because everything won't work. Sometimes we are going to face struggles. We are going to face setbacks. So you just can't be afraid of that. And you can't let that not let you get started. So don't be afraid to fail. We also talked about the importance of marketing. And he stated that if nobody sees your work, your work is pretty much dead, which is true. And marketing, he also stated that it's the most time-consuming part for his business, but it was also what helped him get seen, or helped him get, those different magazines, articles that decided to write about him. They saw him through various posts that he was making. And he stated that he's a part of like 100 different groups. So I can't say it enough that you got to market yourself. You got to put yourself out there. Yes, it's time consuming, but if you could do a post a day, you just never know how much that could benefit you and help your exposure. So marketing is a key to success. He also said that failure was not an option for him. So it's like he's driven to make sure that he finds success. And that's kind of the way we have to be. Whatever it is you're trying to be, whether it's a chef, whether you're trying to be an entrepreneur or just someone that is trying to start his own niche. You can't let failure stop you. You can't let things stop you. You got to be driven to try to reach success. And that's something that we all have to be driven to do, regardless to what it is we're trying to do. You got to be inspired and just let that drive you towards success. He talked about his influences, which was his dad, and he also had a chef. That was his two of his influences. And we got to have help. You can't do this by yourself. So I would say attach yourself to somebody that's like-minded like you, and just let them help inspire you and help cultivate your mind and get you going where you need to go. The last advice, which is probably the great advice, he gave 3 tips. He stated that keep God first, have a game plan, and be dedicated to your craft. I can't say it enough that if you keep God first, God is going to bless your business. I mean, how can you fail if God is your lead? So that's probably the greatest advice I think that we can give anyone, to keep God first, because he's the one that actually gives life, and also he's the one that gives knowledge. So keep him first, and he'll definitely bless what you're trying to do. And so I want to thank you for listening and tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, and even if you have enjoyed some of our previous episodes, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and give us a review on iTunes. This helps our podcast, of course, get noticed, and it helps other listeners that are interested in this type of niche or this type of subject matter, find our podcast. So if you could just do me a favor and give us a review, I would appreciate it very much. And so we want to thank you for just tuning in, listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for visiting the 24-Hour Boss Podcast. Be sure to visit our site at www.24hrboss.com.